It's been a hot minute since we discussed Modern Family, and by a hot minute, I mean about over a year. In our 3,000 subscriber video, What Derailed Modern Family, we went through exactly, well, what derailed Modern Family. And in short, it was basically everything. Character derailment, lack of original ideas, repetitive jokes. But one of the main things that we focused on in that video was the destruction of one of the best characters in the entire show, Cameron Tucker. And it was so bad that not only did I decide to create new names for all the characters season 6 and onward, minus Mitchell and Gloria of course, but also it made me want to go back to the character and describe just how bad he ended up becoming. So get ready to bask in the unadulterated horror in the supreme villainy of Cameron Tucker. First off, I want to reiterate that before season 6, Cam was a great character. He was fun, he was funny, he was charismatic, and above all, he was a good guy who every so often would get caught up in the heat of the moment, but at the end of the day, he meant well. Did he have some control issues and perhaps a little bit of a swollen ego? Yeah, but he still managed to be a good guy. As the show would go on, he would just get worse and worse. I don't want to repeat the points from the old video too much, so I'll just go into some of his best of villainous hits, so to speak. In the episode Sergeant P, Cam tracks down a single mom who obscured his view of Lily's dance recital, catfishes her, and then publicly shames her despite knowing that she and her son have terrible lives. In Queer Eyes Full Hearts, Mitchell's court case was going to get this big special on the local news, and it was going to give it all the grassroots support and momentum that it needed to succeed, only for Cam to let the studio hijack it and then force Mitchell into menial labor. In the episode, Mother! With an exclamation point, so I had to yell it, Cam ends up teaming up with Dee Dee, the de facto main antagonist of the show, so that she could use him as a puppet to control Mitchell's life. And when Mitchell objects to this, he's the bad guy. And finally, the worst episode of them all featuring Cam, Connection Lost. To be fair, this is one of the worst episodes of the entire show, but wow, Cam's evil is fully on display. While everybody's freaking out over the possibility that Haley ran away and got eloped and is possibly pregnant, Cam has the audacity to ask Claire to do things for him like buy him popcorn. Because that's what matters right now. The only reaction he has to hearing that Haley's probably gone forever is,
"Oh no." Anyway.
This bothers me for a number of reasons, but first of all, Cam was never like this in the original. Yeah, he had his moments of being a bit big-headed and causing some trouble, but there were two different ways that these events could happen. One, it was because of one of his insecurities. Like when Mitchell was trying to pressure him to get a job and he kept freaking out and responding poorly to the accusations that he was quote-unquote lazy. What was happening is that Cam was feeling really insecure and it was bringing back some memories of being back on the farm when he was apparently the slacker of the family. Or there's cases like The Musical Man, which is my personal favorite episode, where Cam's dreams are just too big for the real world to cope with and hijinks ensue. So what separates these from the likes of, say, Sergeant P and Connection Lost? First of all, it's the way that the episode portrays Cam. In episodes like The Musical Man, he's seen as kind of the antagonist, sort of. He's human, yes, but he's not hurting anybody, and he's not out there to be malicious. He's trying to do something that he feels is right and is being a little oversensitive, but he gets embarrassed at the end and gets his comeuppance. Also, he admits that he was wrong. In episodes like Sergeant P, despite knowing all about this poor woman's life and the fact that her son's bullied and socially awkward and that ballet's his only escape from his miserable life, Cam still shames her publicly, absolutely humiliating her, and walking off with his chin held high. He's happy with what he's done. Cam wasn't like this. He was a kind and sensitive man. Maybe this would be something that Mitchell would do if he was really driven mad, but even then, that'd be a stretch. Remember the episode Not in My House where Mitchell says that his biggest problem with Cam is that he's too caring? Like how this bird dropped out of a tree and he fed it with an eyedropper? Or that one episode where he tried to help those two random strangers get together just because he thought it would be nice. All of this was gone in the later part of the show. Secondly, it's all about how they treat his actions. Even though his actions have gotten so much worse, the show still treats them like those quirky misunderstandings that he'd always do in the original. Uh-oh, he's being extra toxic and really horrible to his husband and daughter. Silly Cam, you're gonna get a slap on the wrist and don't you do it again. This goes back to what I was just saying about Cam being a really caring person. Because of his overall nature, he would never really do anything to hurt anybody. Therefore, the consequences to his actions would be minor if they existed at all. The show doesn't adjust that for his new behavior. Like in the episode Frank's Wedding, where he keeps forcing Mitchell to take the brunt of his sister's wrath because he's too scared to stand up to her. In the end, he gets to win by taking credit for Mitchell's invitation to have Pam live in the upstairs apartment. Or how, despite his really selfish and callous nature and connection lost, all that really happens to him is his popcorn gets dumped out. And even then, he still gets to have a happy moment when the weird gift that he gave Mitchell turns out to be a hit in a surprise way. I've already talked about how much Cam's changed and given so many examples in this video and the last, but I want to go in a different direction for the rest of this video because I want to find out why did this happen? Why did Cam change? To be honest, it's a number of reasons and I'll list them for you right now. If you've seen the last video I made on Modern Family, you'd probably see this coming, but if you didn't, well, let me tell you all about Flanderization. Yes, Flanderization, for those who don't know, is taking a trait from a character, usually animated, but it doesn't have to be, and then stretching it to the point where that becomes their only character trait whatsoever. Take, for example, the character the trope is named after, Ned Flanders. He was a kind, happy-go-lucky man who just so happened to be the anti-Homer Simpson and a really strong Christian. But then the Christianity thing became his only trait, and then the show was stuck with it and they couldn't go back. Or there's Joey Tribbiani from Friends, going from the least intelligent member of the cast to just an outright idiot. You get the idea, don't you? Modern Family had this for almost all of their characters. Phil was a wacky dad, now he's an idiot. Manny was stuffy and uptight, well now he's insufferably stuffy and uptight, and that's all he has to him. Alex was smart and snarky, well now she's smart and just cruel and bitter to everyone around her. Cam got this the worst. They took his selfishness and made that his one and only character. His flair for theater, his over-eagerness to help others, and him being an eccentric guy in general were all either sidelined or thrown out the window. And I think that's because of conflict. It's no secret that when a show lasts for 11 seasons, they're probably going to start running out of ideas. And given the fact that I have since found out that Modern Family Season 11 wasn't even supposed to exist, and that the Season 10 finale was supposed to be the series finale, it's abundantly clear that the creators were ready to pack it in then, but I think it happened even earlier. Especially since they ended up either rehashing old episodes or coming up with these ludicrous concepts that don't fit with the show. In order for there to be a story or plot or anything of the sort, there needs to be conflict, and Cam is known for being a little bit selfish at times, so since it's already part of his character, why not keep doing it over and over again to create new conflict for the Mitch and Cam stories? But because they keep relying on this over and over again, it ends up ruining the character and making his relationship with Mitchell seem really unhealthy. And because he has to keep providing conflict throughout the rest of the show, he's not allowed to grow, learn, or change. Like I said, in Frank's Wedding, he ends up quote-unquote learning to not force Mitchell into the conflicts he has with his sister Pam. But in the process, he gets heralded as a hero and doesn't change one bit. There's also Knock Him Down, which I would normally really like if it wasn't for two things. One, Cam is really selfish all throughout, but again, that's to be expected. And two, the ending. At the end, Jay comes clean and admits to everybody that he's actually straight. Therefore, he's ineligible to be part of this all-gay bowling league, meaning that Cam cheated and forfeits the trophy. So what does Cam do? Does he apologize to his team for cheating? Does he apologize to Jay for putting him through this awkward situation?
Yes, but actually no.
Instead, he blames Jay for all this and storms off with his nose in the air. This harkens back to a little-known infamous Fox animated show, Alan Gregory. This was a show that constantly mistook cruelty for humor. Basically, as long as the character was being wacky and slightly out of the norm, they could be as mean as they want and do terrible things and never grow, change, or get what's coming to them because, hey,
now that's comedy.
I see no difference between New Cam and Richard DeLongpre. It's just that bad. And another reason why I think they made Cam the way he was is because, honestly, starting with, say, season 7 or 8, the show's morality got really screwed up. We always knew that Dee Dee was a terrible mother, basically smothering Mitch and outright being cold to Claire. Not saying that Jay was an angel himself, but at least he was trying to make up for things by being a good grandfather and also being a little bit more open with his kids in his later years. On the other hand, Dee Dee was manipulative, she was backstabbing, she was an attention hog, you name it, she was that. You know, she's that in-law who keeps coming to all your family events and you just go, oh great, look out for that one. She was always treated as someone who had a lot of problems, but you couldn't really sympathize with her because she let the problems get the better of her, causing her to lash out and be cruel and vindictive. But something changed along the way, and despite the fact that her demeanor and actions didn't change, the way that the show viewed her did. Now, all of a sudden, she was a sad, sympathetic character who just wanted to be loved. This was all for the sake of phony drama. As we've seen with a lot of Haley's elements in the later show, they were trying so hard to make Modern Family be taken seriously with these revolutionary, thought-provoking character developments that really make you look at them in a whole new way. Spoiler alert, these never worked out. And because they did this to characters like Dee Dee, or Pepper, or even Claire to some extent because she kinda got nasty in season 6 and 7, Cam was forced to be held back. There had to be someone in the family to cause all these problems, and it may as well be Cam. Not helping was the constant changes in all their settings. As I've mentioned in the last video, one of the things that Modern Family really seemed to struggle with was bringing up new stories out of the blue and then dropping them with no resolution. With each one, they would bring new possibilities for more jokes and episodes, I'll give them that, even if they didn't turn out to be good, but they would always provide new ways for Cam to be selfish. Mitch and Cam decide to become landlords for the upstairs apartment. Now Cam is able to put Mitchell in constantly compromising positions by being the favorite landlord, as well as making Mitchell look like the bad guy whenever he dares to disagree. Cam's sister moves in. Now Mitchell gets abused by 2 different people instead of 1. And Cam almost never gets what's coming to him because instead, Mitchell's the one that has to grow and learn and change for some reason. Now they try to have these character growths with Cam, but they never seem legitimate and they never stick. In Queer Eyes Full Hearts, he apologizes to Mitchell and tries to make things up, but ends up making things worse. When Cam tries to keep changing his personality in order to fit in with the new upstairs tenants, he gets a little bit embarrassed, but that's about it. But they treat it like he's really learned his lesson this time and he's not gonna make that same mistake again, guys. Totally trust us.
It's a trap!
And I have to point out that, in the right setting, this kind of character could be really funny. Take a look at Seinfeld. They have 4 of these characters in the main cast, and they're all hilarious. Well, 3 of them are. Elaine's just okay. But they're all weird, they're all selfish, they're all vindictive. They're everything that Cam became. The only differences are, 1, in Seinfeld, they're not treated like the heroes. Cam is in Modern Family. 2, basically every character in the whole show is selfish, and nobody ever seems to win. Not so in Modern Family. And 3, they actually have fun premises and clever writing to back it up. They used to when Cam was Cam, but now that he's new Cam, they really don't. I said before that this is one of the worst character derailments I've ever seen, and I'm sticking by it. Not only did they exaggerate one of his less desirable traits to an obnoxious degree, but they also made him the exact opposite of who he used to be. Wow, unintentional rhyme. To be honest, I don't know why the family still hangs out with new Cam, and I don't know why Mitchell stays married. He's overall unpleasant and unbearable to be around, so yeah, I don't get it. But Cam's not the only character that Modern Family messed up really badly. No.
There is another.
And it's not really one that I focused a whole lot on the last time I talked about the show. In fact, it's only in the recent weeks when I've been watching more of the show that I've realized that this character derailment is almost as bad as Cam. We're not gonna get into him yet, but trust me, we will. And it's gonna be something. So there you have it. From lovable goofball to unbearable narcissist, that was the supreme villainy of Cameron Tucker. Well, friends, that was the video. What'd you think? What do you think is Cam's best and worst moment? Comment below and let us know because we are always excited to hear what you guys have to say. And in case you can't tell, we have the names of our Patreon executive producers rolling across the screen. And guess what? You can be one of them. It only costs $5 a month and $2 a month for the raffle, so if you'd like your name shown at the end of every Media Mementos video, then consider donating to our Patreon, which has a link in the description below. I think you can tell because not only do we always say that, but I just talked about it. Funny how that works. Okay, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Speaking of Patreon, next time is actually the Patreon raffle for September. It's going to be a little bit of different subject matter than what we normally cover, but hey, that means it's exciting. I'd say I'll see you there, but, you know, it's not going to be me, it's going to be Billy. So, Billy, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.